We will avenge Wonder Boy tomorrow night. Gabriel Bonfim, my brother, we're slamming your ass out in the Apex. This is the Apex Supreme Warrior, Apex Predator in the Apex. I just said Apex 100 times. Belal Muhammad's going to beat this guy's fucking ass. I can almost guarantee it. I'm going to put my life savings down on it. People are talking about Gabriel Bonfim like he's this fucking marauder of the welterweight division. This guy's the future. He fucking sucks. They're talking about like he's the Grim Reaper. And I'm just very confident in Belal. I mean, this guy I think has almost got underrated. I get he's lost 2 in a row, and he's got that former welterweight champ curse, and maybe the slide continues. But the Canelo hands, the chain wrestling, the high-paced fighting from Belal is going to win this. And when he wrestles, he's going in there on double legs. Again, when he gets you down, you're not going to see Belal Muhammad throw it up any fucking triangles, Kimuras, Darce chokes, Von Flus, fucking you name it. This guy's not going to throw up submissions on you. He's just a control guy. He's going to smudge you. He's going to make it boring. He's going to get booed in the Apex. That's the Belal Muhammad game. And on the feet, he's going to throw pretty nice body kicks. I will say the one thing that Belal Muhammad does actually well on the feet is he does have nice body kicks. He's going to throw his sloppy overhands, weird jabs, where it doesn't even look like he's ever been to a fucking boxing class before. It does worry me a bit that he doesn't actually really defend calf kicks whatsoever, but Bonfim is not this guy where I'm super worried about what he can do on the feet. Like, I do think he is talented, as much as I despise this guy and I hate on him so much for what he did to Wonder Boy. And if you don't really know what I was referencing in the beginning of the video, this guy fought Wonder Boy, I believe 2 fights ago last summer, maybe a year ago now to this point, and it was 1-1 going in that third round, and Bonfim just held Wonder Boy, Stephen Wonder Boy Thompson, up against the fence for an entire round, which probably most in-shape men could do, like under the age of 30 at this point, because Wonder Boy's so old. Wonder Boy was beating that dude's ass with the fucking busted up shit, and Bonfim didn't want that fucking smoke. So since that point, I have made it my mission to hate on this guy at all points. But back to Gabriel Bonfim, just breaking down some of his stuff. He'll sling hooks at you. He has gotten more patient as kind of his career has progressed in the UFC. Has really nice knees up the middle, calf kicks, can use his hooks really well to counter. Will mix in his takedowns and his double legs in there to try and get you down and try and take your back, and does have like decently crafty jiu-jitsu, and will use the guillotine to deter your grappling on him if you're trying to shoot in on a double. And his cardio has also gotten a lot better since that Nicholas Dalby fight. Now, Belal Muhammad might suck everywhere. Like, suck at everything besides wrestling and control and like the occasional body kick, but he is pretty durable, and it is hilarious that this guy was champ despite being so bad on the feet. I think Belal Muhammad's going to come in here and just smudge this guy in the later rounds and end up winning. And I do think there is, as much as I hate Gabriel Bonfim, I do think there is a legit chance that he could win this, in terms of he can use his nasty knees to the body and calf kicks that Belal Muhammad won't check to slow down, and Belal's calf could be done. Joe Rogan will be creaming somewhere. But Belal has fought the elite of the elite, man, and he's going to shoot 100 takedowns. It doesn't even matter if he lands them. He's going to keep shooting them. He'll outwork you. He'll out-wrestle you. He'll smudge this guy. And he also gets, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this guy is the Apex Supreme Predator. He is the Apex Supreme Warrior. This guy is the fucking king of the jungle in the Apex. He gets a stat boost when he goes in the Apex. This is where he thrived. This is his world, man. Belal Muhammad's world is the fucking Apex. JDM and Ian Gary, if they had fought Gabriel Bonfim, they would have put that guy out fucking cold and had him on skates. Belal and Bonfim, I didn't mention he does have grappling. Like, he's not going to get Belal down. Belal has elite takedown defense. We've seen against Damian Maia, Ian Gary, guys who are better wrestlers and better grapplers than Gabriel Bonfim. Couldn't get this guy down. I could even see Belal Muhammad getting like a late TKO here, where he pieces you up as the fight goes on, gets inside, mixing in the body kicks, mixing in his weird Canelo hands, and landing his takedowns and winning this one. Fuck Gabriel Bonfim. I'm not going to pick Belal Muhammad by decision. I am realistic even as a Gabriel Bonfim hater. As much as I'd like to pick Belal Muhammad by like 5th round TKO, I'm going to go with Belal by like a 49-46 unanimous decision. Maybe he gets a late TKO. Either way, I just so excited to watch Gabriel Bonfim fucking lose. And if Belal Muhammad standing TKOs this guy like he did Sean Brady, I'm going to fucking scream. And I'm going to burn down the streets of New York City. And there's going to be a lot of people, including myself, we're going to all be there for the Knicks. But I'm going to rip off my Amari Stoudemire jersey and swing into my fucking Belal Muhammad gear. And I'm going to start a Belal chant in fucking New York City, right outside Madison Square Garden. Either way, moving on to the co-main of Brendan Allen versus Edmen Shahbazyan. And listen, I'm picking Brendan Allen to win this one. But there is a part of me that is a little bit scared for him. I know this is, the perfect fight for Brendan Allen to lose. He's everybody's favorite Brazilian, which he is repping Brazil for this fight. Does it even say here on Tapology that he is? No, well, I guess he is nationality is American, so it doesn't really matter. But he is repping Brazil for this fight. His wife is Brazilian. His kids are half Brazilian, so he's like, oh, why not? Maybe I dip in a little bit Charles Oliveira. I can let it happen, play as I'm walking out. But this, again, is legitimately the perfect fight for Brendan Allen to lose, where he just dominates RDR in his last fight. RDR gasses out on the fucking stool. It was embarrassing. And then he moves on and somehow loses to Edmen Shahbazyan, where he's striking instead of grappling and gets knocked down in like the second round. That could happen. That is the perfect move for Brendan Allen, but I'm still going to pick him to win this one in terms of he is just so well-rounded, and he's pretty well-rounded, not just so well-rounded. He's going to prefer his grappling, has really fast double legs and ground and pound that he can use to get to his submission game. He can overextend on the feet and get countered, which does worry me against Edmen Shahbazyan, who has power and has a lot of finishes. Can also just do a lot of dumb shit on the ground where he's rushing submissions and then just ends up on his back, and he's dumb. I mean, I'm not saying anything new here about Brendan Allen. Everybody knows he's fucking dumb. He's dangerous in a lot of aspects of MMA, but he's also very dangerous to himself everywhere. Edmen Shahbazyan, he's going to come out here with, jabs, pretty powerful kicks. He'll wait for his opponent to engage, and then he'll hit you with hard straights and hooks. And, in his earlier part of his career, I feel like he was a dude who gassed out and didn't really wait for his opportunities. That's kind of changed, in my opinion, as his career has gone on. He can lose fights if you push a pace on him, and he'll just fade as it goes on. Allen gets caught in a lot of ways that Edmen Shahbazyan will counter on guys, but I just think he's such a better overall fighter, and as long as he wrestles and grapples in this one, he should win this. I think he's going to win by late submission. But again, Brendan Allen's dumbest fight IQ ever. This is a guy who, when he should be wrestling, he strikes. When he strikes, he should be wrestling. There's nothing consistent about Brendan Allen's game except that he's going to do some dumb shit. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets dropped early and then he has to fucking lock in where he's like goofing around on the feet, and then Edmen Shahbazyan, he just catches him bad, and then Brendan Allen's like, shit, I actually got to fucking try in this fight. I'm going to take Brendan Allen by late submission in this one. I just think he's a much better fighter than Edmen Shahbazyan, which I don't even know how this fight's getting made. I get it, DDP wasn't ready to fight Brendan Allen. That was the logical fight. Now we're probably going to get DDP Usman, which is a much more fun and at least exciting fight to talk about. But either way, I mean, Edmen Shahbazyan's not even fucking ranked, and Brendan Allen's number 4 in the world. Either way, moving on to the people's main event, Favelas Ziam versus Tom Nolan. Tom Nolan, one of my favorite fucking fighters in the fucking roster. I'm doing an English accent here, despite the fact that he's fucking Australian. I really like Tom Nolan, but I am worried for him here because Favelas Ziam is probably the most well-rounded / best lightweight prospect, where he's really well-rounded on the feet, has a great 1-2, has great timing. Defensively, he's very good at range. He can get tagged moving up, backing up to the fence. But overall, I'd say he's pretty good defensively. He's had really improved wrestling defense throughout his career, and offensive wrestling in general. Can get you down, work to the back very nicely. Has also developed as his career has gone on a really nice finishing ability. I mean, he just bullied the shit out of Nazim Sadikov in his last fight. And Tom Nolan, on the other hand, is a very dynamic finisher. He'll throw a bunch of kicks, outside spinning kicks, just all kinds of shit. In the clinch, he's really good too at knees and elbows, could stop you from going into the pocket. Has pretty good sub game too, no real takedown threat with him. And he's also very good off of his back. So even if you take this guy down, he could do a lot of damage off his back, and he's just really good off it. The one main concern I have with Tom Nolan in this one, it's why I'm picking for SDM, is his boxing defense isn't great. This guy gets rocked in a lot of fights. We saw Charlie Campbell, shout out Long Island, had him up against the ropes. Not that Charlie Campbell, in my opinion, is pretty good as a lightweight, but it still happened, and Tom Nolan obviously ended up getting the finish there. I think Ziam should win this one. I think it's a bit of a step up for Tom Nolan in terms of this guy should have been fighting somebody from the old guard instead of a Favelas Ziam. I don't really understand why we're matching up prospect versus prospect. I want both these guys in the rankings. Tom Nolan is still live to win this one. He is such a good finisher, and who knows, maybe he catches Favelas Ziam and wins this one. I just trust Ziam as just a more well-rounded fighter and just a better guy who's been around for a little bit longer. Ziam's better range. Nolan's kind of not great at closing the distance, and his chin isn't really that great. So I'm going to take Favelas Ziam by round 2 knockout, or a pretty a damage-based decision where he really just kind of beats the shit out of Tom Nolan. Tom Nolan will still have moments in this one, don't get me wrong, as long as he gets out of that first round. just because of how good of a striker he is. But I just don't trust his boxing defense enough or his chin overall to win this one against Favelas. Ziam. Moving on to Bryce Mitchell versus Santiago Luna. And as much as I'd like to pick Bryce Mitchell to win this one, I am pretty scared for him because I do want him to win. He's said all crazy shit in the past, but overall I've liked him. He's also liked some of my comments on his fucking Instagram videos where I'm like, amen, brother, when he's just saying the dumbest bullshit you ever seen. But this is clearly they're kind of throwing Bryce Mitchell to the wolves here. They hate him, throwing him into the apex. They want him to lose. I think this is even a harder fight than his initial opponent, Victor Henry, who I think he would have beat. Santiago Luna, he's just a heavy-handed wrestler. And Mitchell, he's aggressive. Again, he's a wrestler. We'll use calf kicks. Again, he's not really doing anything on the feet. He doesn't really want to be a boxing range with you. He's going to get in on his double legs and his body locks. And, you know, will he look for subs? Yeah, in the past he has, but now he's just strictly control, though, on the ground. And he does have kind of these weird ways to get to your back and find finishes there. My thing with Bryce Mitchell, though, is like he's just not good enough on the feet for me to pick him to win this one. And he also can kind of fade in higher paced fights, and it is pretty hittable. And if you kind of like look at his recent wins, it's a split decision win over Dan Ige, beat Kron Gracie, and Said Nurmagomedov. So it's all guys where you're like, they're very And Luna, again, as I mentioned earlier, heavy-handed wrestler, like kind of like a Walmart version of a Aaron Pico in a way. You know, he doesn't have that great defense, but it doesn't really worry me as much because Bryce Mitchell is really giving you nothing on the feet whatsoever. He's going to wrestle in a lot of double legs, has sub game, but is not really a control wrestler, like has kind of pretty poor control ability. Bryce's boxing defense scares me a lot. And he also he's also been dropped a number of times. Again, Santiago Luna, I just think is Aaron Pico light, and I figure he just bombs Bryce Mitchell at some point in this fight. And he just has that advantage on the feet that I think he's going to find a finish. Could Bryce Mitchell come out here and just blob him, like survive a flurry in that first round and just blob in rounds 2 and 3? Yes, and I wouldn't even be pissed at that. I like Bryce Mitchell for the most part. But I think Santiago Luna finds a finish here. He does a lot of damage. Bryce Mitchell's purely a wrestler. Santiago Luna, my Mexican, by round 2, TKO in this one over Bryce Mitchell. Moving on to Matt Schnell versus Alessandro Costa. I don't really have many notes on this one. Matt Schnell, my brother, you're going to the fucking shadow realm. Rip Matt Schnell. I just don't... Listen, Matt Schnell had no choice to win this one. Even if he fought Emmanuel Rodriguez. This guy had no chance. He's going to get fucking slimed out. Matt Schnell, like... I guess I'll say this about him. You know, he keeps his hands low. He does pretty well with the movement. Won't wrestle a lot. I don't understand why this is I'm just reading through my notes. They don't even fucking make any sense. Matt Schnell, though, I'll give him this, though. He can randomly hit hard. Like, we actually saw him hurt Pantoja, but he has no chin or defense whatsoever. Like, Alessandro Costa, I think at one point people were pretty high on him, and then he's kind of had these performances as of late. At the Correa loss, and then the Stuart Nichols sucks. But, the Correa loss kind of derailed some of his hype, but I still think he's just so much better and younger than Matt Schnell that it doesn't even matter what kind of version of him shows up here. Like, Costa is a midget, but he is very explosive, hits very hard, has a nice high guard, calf kicks on the outside, will just explode in and bomb you with combos. His takedowns are pretty ineffective, but it doesn't matter. He's going to bomb out Matt Schnell, Alessandro Costa by a round 1 knockout. This one really shouldn't be close whatsoever. Moving on, Iwo Baraniewski versus Junior Tafa. This is a fucking fun fight. And there's going to be part of me that maybe I'll do it right after this video, that might throw a little bit of money on Junior Tafa because Iwo is still largely unproven. Junior Tafa is obviously a good striker, hits fucking hard. But I think I'm going to go with Iwo on this one. I just trust that he's younger, has more of a chin, and I just think he's better than Junior Tafa. You know, Iwo, he's going to come at you with nice crosses and overhands. Has wrestling and judo that we just haven't seen in the UFC yet. We've seen it on like cans on the regional scene. It's like a mythical level black belt that we don't really know if it exists. He's said in interviews that he wants to use his wrestling more. So is Iwo getting a sub or just even a takedown live in this fight? I think it could happen. There are worries with him where like if you get him up against the fence or in the pocket, he can be caught. But he's just so dangerous. The overhands, the switching stances to find the hook, he's very good at it. Junior Tafa is obviously a glory kickboxer, looping shots. He's pretty fast for the division. He is kind of prone to, calf kicks and really has no clue how to grapple whatsoever. I think Iwo is going to get a KO on the feet. Is there a world where he just goes in there and grapples Junior Tafa and subs him? Yeah, because Junior Tafa has no grappling. Just defensively, and excuse me, I'm a little bit jumbled here. Defensively, is Iwo great? No. And we don't really know if he can wrestle yet. But I still trust his, like, just youth and the fact that all of his fights in the UFC and just professionally have ended in the first round. I think he's going to find a first round knockout here. Maybe a first round submission if he actually leans on his grappling. I would like to see him use his grappling here just to be like, oh shit, it exists. And it would just be funny to watch Junior Tafa lose the fucking Iwo by getting subbed. Either way, excited for this one. That's a recap of the main card. Moving on to Marcus McGhee versus John Yannis. Yanni or Laurel. This is a funny one for Marcus McGhee because you lose to Petr Yan in a fairly competitive fight. Petr Yan goes on to beat the shit out of Merab, wins the belt. But going from Petr Yan to Jakob Wichklass, dropped out, / John Yannis is just so funny. And John Yannis, I actually don't even think is that bad. He has power for the division, but I don't think it's enough to beat Marcus McGhee. It's just a funny fight. Marcus McGhee, power puncher, can bring volume, kicks on the outside, will switch stances to enter and mix in quick combos when he's switching stances, can bomb hooks in the pocket, will also mix in takedowns to kind of just, look at that, my seat's fucking squeaking, to change the pace. Won't really get them go, just kind of throws them to throw them, has pretty good takedown defense. Now, John Yannis is a power puncher. He'll switch stances. Mostly he'll stay in orthodox, but he'll switch stances. I do think he's kind of underrated in terms of, I don't think he's terrible. He'll mix in hooks and overhands. Again, has real power. Don't really know what his takedown defense is. Like, he showed it against Jamie Siraj, who is that random Canadian, and he's terrible. He sucks. I just trust Marcus McGhee more. This guy, I believe he was formerly ranked. He's fought. He has a lot more experience. And although he is hittable, I just don't think John Yannis is actually good enough to win this one. I'm going to go Marcus McGhee. I said round 2 in the notes. I picked a lot of round 2 TKOs. I just noticed that. A lot of people are taking him by knockout. John Yannis just isn't that good. I'll take Marcus McGhee by round 2 knockout. Moving on to Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva versus Edgar Chairez. Edgar Chirac. I like Bruno Silva here. And especially if he's coming in. I didn't watch his fight against Charles Johnson, so I don't even remember what his I didn't watch most of it. I don't even really remember if his back looked like Volcano and he was taking steroids. But if he comes in with that steroid back like he did against Jung Young Park, whatever the kid's name is, he's going to beat the shit out of Edgar Chairez. Silva's explosive finisher for the division. He's small for the weight class, but he'll explode in the pocket on you. On the outside, he'll blast calf kicks and some front kicks occasionally. Like, he's not super technical, but he has great finishing ability for the division. Also has a nice sprawl, will take your back. I think his wrestling's a little bit overrated, but it does exist there. Chairez is a boxer who has sub-game, doesn't really have any takedown defense, really at all. He's kind of like a strike to give you one, which I'm fine with. I think that's kind of what you have to do in the UFC if you want to get fucking finishes. He's open to calf kick because of his boxer stance, and again, he doesn't have great takedown defense. Chairez, and again, he can't really sprawl, but also got taken down by Tyra and taken down by Joshua Van. But the reason you get taken down by Van is like you're so worried about his hand, so I don't really know what to even take of that. Silva's wrestling is overrated. Like, he'll spam takedowns on you when he wants to. And he did it against Park, who I think just broke his jaw early in that fight, and that kind of is why Bruno Silva just took advantage of him in the grappling. Also, as I noted before, seemed like he was on fucking steroids in that fight. Failed a lot of takedowns against Charles Johnson. And Chairez, I would say, actually is more technical on the feet. And his takedown defense, I guess, has marginally improved. But my thing with Edgar Chairez is I think people have kind of overrated this guy a bit, where he left it so oddly close against Felipe Bunes, where I just watched that fight and was like, Felipe Bunes, he's just mid. I don't even really know if he won that fight. I think it was a split decision. Bruno Silva, like, at the very least, is pretty proven. He's fought a lot of the top guys in flyweight. I worry about his chin a bit, as Edgar Chairez has power, rock Joshua Van, but I trust Silva's experience and just his overall weapons. I'm going to take Bruno Silva by decision in this one over Edgar Chairez. Moving on to really the real reason why you're here. Chelsea Chandler versus Priscilla Cachoeira. This is a terrible fight. It's so bad because the rest of this card at least has some intrigue on it. This fight sucks. Chelsea Chandler, I guess, can throw a jab. Priscilla, like, she has power in her hands. She'll just spam overhands and left hooks. She defends nothing in any capacity. She has no defense whatsoever. Chandler can kind of like throw jabs at range and then randomly explode it with combos. Can also like smudge you on the fence and then drag you down. Knows how to shoot a takedown though, so I'll give her that. Priscilla can't defend takedowns, so I guess I'll take Chelsea Chandler by decision in this one. It's absolutely terrible, so who really cares? Moving on to a fight I actually kind of care about. Jordan Levitt versus Joe Anderson Brito. A pretty fun one where Jordan Levitt's on a 2-fight win streak, you know, beat Yadir Davai, who in the moment that seemed like a good win. Like, if you were to tell before the fight that Jordan Levitt was going to beat Yadir Davai, you'd be like, oh, that's actually a pretty decent win. Davai was looked as, he was the Cuban project. This guy's going to be a next great Cuban prospect. Then he loses that fight, and you're like, oh, maybe that Bulgarian, maybe he wasn't really that good. Maybe Bulgarian actually really did throw that fight. But Brito, you know, he's been around for forever. Fucking Danny game motherfucker. And he beat Isaac Thompson in his last fight. I kind of like Brito by sub here. You know, 2 of Levitt's last losses in the UFC were by submission to Paddy Pimblett and Chase Hooper, who have great BJJ. Joe Anderson Brito can mix in the grappling pretty well. I get Levitt's, you know, strong and is a former lightweight, but on the ground, Levitt has struggled with guys who can legitimately grapple and scramble. Brito, I mean, people forget, man, this guy sub Jonathan Pierce, who was on like a nice win streak before like losing 3 in a row after losing to Joe Anderson Brito. Also, Brito has nice calf kicks, body kicks, straight punches. I think he gets this done. Jordan Levitt will shoot like a bad takedown. Joe Anderson Brito will lock in like a guillotine, an anaconda, some fucking bullshit, and he'll get a submission here in round 2, or he gets a TKO. Either way, I think Joe Anderson Brito is going to win this one over Jordan Levitt. Moving on to Jaisla? I forgot how to say her name. Jaisla Chavez versus Eunice Dubin. This is actually a pretty fun women's flyweight fight. I know you might be thinking, Cage Doctor, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why do you give a fuck about women's MMA? I don't really, but this is actually a fun fight in terms of Chavez is making her debut. Dubin lost to Carly Judice in her debut by head kick. Dubin did have that insane KO on the Contender Series where she just had that big, ugly, sloppy overhand. This, I think, is going to be a decent scrap for women's MMA here. And I think I'm going to pick Chavez. Just a more technical, better striker. Chavez will kind of bomb you with big rights, beat you up pretty bad in the clinch. Dubin's a bit of a blockhead where she'll just run at you and doesn't really have a lot of defense. And Chavez, I think, will just beat her up. Maybe she gets a finish. But I'm not man enough to actually pick a women's fight to end by finish on the prelim. So I'm just going to go Jaisla Chavez by decision. Maybe 30-27. She really beats the shit out of her. And then Ketlin Sosa versus Ariane Cartolosi. Like 2 women that you know if you watch the sport. Souza won her last one over Bruno Brazil, who's absolutely fucking terrible. And Cartolosi got subbed by Talita Alencar in her last fight. Again, everybody says Souza's Tank Davis. She kind of looks like Tank Davis. If Tank Davis had boobs, I would say he's Ketlin Sosa. Souza has power. Again, nice tattoos. Looks like she beats her wife. She has finishes in the UFC. I guess I'll just take her by decision in this one. Overall, this is a pretty fun card. I mean, like, for an Apex card headlined by Belal, it's not too bad. You know, don't fucking complain about the bully coming in here and slamming out Gabriel Bonfim. I'll be so happy if he manages to get like a 5th round TKO on Gabriel Bonfim. For what he did to Wonder Boy was a legitimate crime. And he beat the shit out of Randy Brown, Randy Brown Chinian really isn't even that good. But if you're new here, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. The video quality is going to improve. I just got to fucking lock in. Either way, thank you all for watching. The doctor is signing off.